In last week's episode, we talked about the O and being an O and agent or an O and having an O and client. So this week, we're going to talk about the O but and overcoming objections. You know, we hear it on TV. They say, but wait, there's more, because they're getting an objection. And so they start with that but. They say, you're they're trying to sell you something and you're like, but. And so, but wait, there's more. So in real estate, we get objections all the time. So how do we overcome those? When we start hearing people say, oh, but, what's our next step? So this week on being present in real estate, we're going to kind of talk about that. How do we overcome those objections? So I am Danielle Shepard, your host of Being Present in Real Estate. And today we are going to talk about overcoming those objections. So let's just dive right in. It's not the, oh, but wait, there's more part. And that's what we tend to do. We tend to, when a person has an objection to what we are saying, we try to then turn around and say, but wait, there's more. And we try to sell them on ourselves. What does that do? When people try to do that, think about that when you get a phone call from a salesman. Like when you get those calls on the phone and you say, no, I'm not interested, but wait, I can give you more. Or when you see it on the My Pillow guy, or when you see on QVC, and then they say, or wherever, and they say $19.99 for whatever, but wait, we'll give you free shipping. But wait, we'll give you another one. You can get two for the price of one. But wait. Why do we have that tendency in real estate when we get an objection, instead of trying to acknowledge that objection and going from there, we have this tendency, because I guess it's ingrained in our brain, we have this tendency to say, but wait, there's more I will do for you. So we have to figure that out. Okay. One of the biggest, oh, but wait, or oh, buts that we get in real estate is about our commission. And we've had an episode about commission already, and it continues to be a question. I see it on these real estate masterminds on Facebook all the time. Discount brokerages or discount wherever, people are on there all the time talking about they run across somebody. How do they compete with that? How do they compete with a flat fee? How do they compete with somebody only offering X percent? How do they compete? You once again have to know your value. I was on a listing appointment this last week and I was interviewing. I did not know how many agents I was against. Usually usually I know if there's 3 or 4. I don't ask, but people kind of just tell you. But I did not know. I knew I was competing, but I did not know. And I'll tell you, when you're competing, be yourself. You're going to win some, you're going to lose some. But at least I know I'm myself and I tried. And if I won, I won. If I didn't, at least I knew I gave my best effort. But the question came up, well, what's your commission? And I told them what I charge. And I explained it. I explained why I charge that. Oh, but X person did not give me a name, just said another agent is willing to charge me this. And so this is where I could have said, but wait, this is what I'm going to do for you. But wait, there's more. But that's not what I did. And that's not what I'll do. Because then I turn into a salesman. Okay. I lose that relationship piece. As soon as you do that, but wait, there's more. You change from this being a relationship piece to you become transactional. And guys, I know there are people who do not believe what I'm telling you. They don't. They do not. They think this is a transactional business. They are big producers and they are constantly fighting. They are constantly paying for leads. They're constantly paying for that stuff. And it's a transactional business for them. And they do a phenomenal business. If that's their business model, that's great. But for longevity, I believe, this is my belief, this is a relationship business. So I'm going to tell, this is what I do. I'm telling you how to build it as a relationship business, if that's what you want. Okay. So but this agent is going to, would only do it for this amount of money, for this commission. So how did I overcome that objection? The first thing you have to understand is when you are talking with someone, you have to understand and how to overcome an objection in general. Okay. When you're talking with someone, and it really doesn't matter if it's a client, whether it's your kid's teacher, whether it's the lady at the grocery store, whether it's the librarian, it doesn't matter who it is in the world. There are ways to there are ways to deal with objections. Okay. And it's a productive way to deal with objections. So let's talk about that. Okay. So productive ways to deal with objections are you acknowledge what they've said because you want to validate what they've said. People want to feel heard. You have heard me say that a lot of times. People want to feel heard. They want to be acknowledged. They want their concerns to be validated. And then you can present your reasonings. So this is how that conversation looks like. Seller says, I appreciate, or seller says, I really like everything you're having to say, but this agent that I talked to yesterday, they're willing to do it for X commission. That would save me a lot of money. So, I understand. And when you're selling a house, saving money is important. I fully understand that. So yes, I get that. And I also understand what I bring to the table. I bring a lot of knowledge of this area. I bring the resources to market your property. I bring experience in so many transactions that have closed in this area of just the negotiations power that I have is I know I'm worth what I charge. And I appreciate, what you're telling me, but I really know my value that I bring to the table. So what have I done in that situation? Okay. I have taken their concern and I have said, yes, I acknowledge what you have told me. And is a positive word because I'm acknowledging it. And I say, these are the reasons why I am worth what I'm doing. A lot of times when we are struggling with objections, we use the word but. We say, yes, but. But is a negative word. As soon as you say but, you have negated everything that was said before that. That means it's like, yeah, but what you said just didn't matter because now I'm speaking and what I said mattered. When I say yes, and that means, yes, I'm validating you. And now I'm agreeing with what you said because what you said has value. And now this is what I want to say. This can go in a lot of different directions. Okay. What we need to learn is to change our vernacular from the oh, but or yes, but to yes, and. Because they're going to come to us with the but. They're going to say, oh, but. Like a seller would say, hey, I've got this contract for you. It's really great. Gave us asking price, gave us everything we wanted. And then they're going to say, oh, but they asked for closing costs. Now, how you present that is going to change the course of how that negotiation is going to go. When you present that contract, if you say, oh, but they asked for closing costs, that is different than if you say, yes, and they asked for closing costs. It's a difference in the vernacular of it. And they asked for closing costs is a different connotation than but. But is a negative word. We have to change the perceptions. One of the things that we have a tendency to do, even in our everyday life, is we have a tendency to negate someone else's concerns before we ever really listen to them. Some of you may be parents, and I am sure you have had teacher conferences or teacher phone calls in the past years. Probably at least one of those has been about a cell phone. And probably you're giggling right about now because, yeah, cell phones are a huge problem in schools. Usually that phone call probably goes something like this. And if your last name is Smith, you just happen to have a very common last name. Ring, ring. I don't know. We don't ring, ring anymore, but oh, whatever. Ring, ring. Hi, Miss Smith. This is Miss Shepard, little Johnny's teacher. How are you today? I'm great, thank you. What can I do for you? Well, I'm calling today because little Johnny had his cell phone out in class, and so we had to take it from him. At that point, the conversation can go one of two ways. And it usually goes something like this. You had to take his cell phone? Why are you taking his cell phone? You don't have a right to take his cell phone. If the teacher's going to say, yes, but, that is automatically a negative. But if the teacher says, yes, I understand, and because it impeded our learning, because it got in the way of our learning, we just had to at that point, but he got it back at the end of the day, that's a lot different than if I said, yes, but, it was just getting in the way. It's a way of connotations. It changes the way that conversation goes. Yes, and meant I validated that parent's concern. I said, yes, I understand. And I had to do it anyway because it was causing a problem. But I understand what you're saying. It changes the trajectory of that conversation. When you are dealing with a buyer or a seller, let's talk about the buyer. We've been talking about the seller a lot. So you're talking with a buyer, and the buyer wants something that's like way over their budget. Let's just do that. Let's talk about an HGTV moment. They love that HGTV. They have in their mind what they want in a house, in their first house. And 3 years ago, 4 years ago, let's go 5 years ago, when interest rates were really low, they could afford their dream house. But now that interest rates have almost doubled, they don't have that same affordability that they had 5 years ago. So what was their dream house has now been a little bit, now they have their for right now house. And that's okay. For right now, houses are okay. Okay. So you get to have these conversations with them when they have this tendency to not like any house, even though it fits their budget and it fits what they need. And they start saying, yes, but it doesn't have this. Yes, but it doesn't have this. Oh, but it doesn't have this. But it doesn't have this. But I want to have, but I need to have, but I want to have. I want a gourmet kitchen. I want a chef's kitchen. I want um, a gas stove. I need. But. You have to be able to say, yes, I understand that this property doesn't have those things. And this is also in your budget. And it's not your forever home. And it's a great neighborhood, and it's in the school district that you want for your kids, and it's right next to the park, and it's a positive that you're putting. You're reframing that mindset for them. Buyers sometimes get lost in, especially when they've seen so many houses. They forget what they had wanted in the beginning. And so it's our job as agents to reframe that for them. So hopefully, as an agent, as a buyer's agent especially, you're having that buyer's agent consultation in the very beginning. So why is that buyer's agent consultation so important? When you have that buyer's agent consultation in the very beginning, you sit down with them and you talk about what are your needs in a house? What are your wants? Because my needs are things I have to get you. My job as an agent is to get you your needs in your budget. And then if I can get you your wants, then my day is made because I'm getting you everything that you want. Now, in Central Texas, we are still in a balanced market. This balanced market has lasted much longer than I expected it to. We have been teetering towards being in a buyer's market. Any day I expect it to just be like, oh, we're in that buyer's market, but we're still teetering. And so there's still inventory. There's still houses out there. So people, sometimes you're seeing 10, 15 houses, and it's very easy to lose sight. And so our job as an agent is to make sure that we are still keeping track of these needs, because it's very easy for a buyer to get distracted by the wants. Very easy. So we have to make sure that we are able to do our yes ands and make sure that they stay on track with those wants or with those needs. Now, there's one thing that I'm going to talk about with agents. So we talked about sellers, we talked about buyers. So now I'm going to talk about agents. So a lot of times we have to have conversations with agents when we are negotiating, when we are doing deals. And always we have to respect each other. We have to, guys, always. If we don't respect each other, that is a problem. So always talk to your fellow agent with kindness. And for goodness sake, answer the flippin' phone. Why will you only text? Anyway, I'm going to digress because that's a whole nother ballgame. And okay, whole nother ballgame. Back it up. Okay, when you're talking with your fellow agents, there are going to be conversations that are a little bit difficult. You need to keep these same premises in mind. Yes, and understand their side. You are fighting for your client. They are fighting for theirs. You can't get mad, and you can't get emotional, and you can't lose sight, for one, of being a professional, but for two, you can't lose sight of your senses. You are in this for your client. So when you're having a discussion with this other agent, I will give you a perfect example. This happened the other day. I'm doing a deal with another broker. She is lovely. I love her. She is super nice. I have never met her in person. We have only talked on the phone, done a lot of texting. Our communication has always been professional. We have had a difference of opinion on one part of the contract. So our emails were going a little sideways. And so guess what I did? I picked up the phone and I called her. And I said, we need to talk. And I explained what my version of this conversation that was taking place. And then I listened to her version. And as I sat there and listened, I literally sat there and listened. Don't try to interrupt people. Listen. Okay? That's part of it. Listening, part of it. And then I said, yes, I understand. And, when we got off the phone, we had come to an agreement. Everything's fine. When we were getting off the phone, she said to me she very much appreciated this conversation. I was kind of taken aback. I was like, oh, okay. You know, I kind of giggled just like that. I was like, and then, okay, thanks, you know, because I don't think anything of it. I talk to everybody the same way. And she said, I just really appreciate this conversation because not everyone would call and try to work things out and listen to my concerns and then work it out. Really? Like, to me, that was a foreign concept. Like, what are we going to do? So, hmm. So when you have something, when you've got to work something out with another agent, it's the same thing. It's not going to be a but conversation. I'm not going to say, but your client did this. I'm not, no. I'm going to listen and I'm going to gather for understanding. And I'm going to say, and because it's happened. That's what and does. It's saying this has happened. It's either it's happened or someone feels that way because they wouldn't say it if they didn't. And then we're going to move on from there. So it's a yes and, not an oh but or a yes but or a no but. Validating someone's concerns is not saying they're right, is not saying they're wrong. It's just validating them. It's just saying you understand. These are your concerns. I understand those. I understand you have those concerns. Doesn't mean I'm agreeing with them. It's just saying I understand that you have them. And that's okay to do. So, as agents, we've talked about buyers, we've talked about sellers, we've talked about agents. As agents, we still have to remember, we have to talk to each other too. Kindness will always win. Always. All right, guys. So, yes, and no more. Oh, but wait, there's more. Don't try to sell yourself. Listen and understand. So, listen and understand. Those are our two things. Okay. So, listen and, because and is a positive, but is a negative. Validate concerns. Doesn't mean you agree with them, just means you're validating them. So, acknowledge what people say, validate their concerns, and then give your reasons. Okay. So, overcoming objections, that's how you do it. When someone tells you no and they give you a reason, or even if they don't give a reason, say, I understand. Thank you for your time. I'll check back in with you. Eventually, they'll say yes or no. Anyway, so I hope everyone is having a great week, or I hope you will have a great week. Be kind, be present in all forms of real estate, and take care of yourself, take care of each other, and just make it a great day. Lift each other up. Okay. So thank you for tuning in again. And we will see you next week. All right, guys, subscribe to all the channels. Be kind and be present. Take care, everyone.